So I'm here today to take a brief look at the game Anno Online, or Anno Online, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. It is basically a browser game that has been ported over to Steam. Now, in this port, a few things have changed, and for one, I like the fact that it is now full screen, because I think a lot of players are interested in playing these games sort of casually, but they like the more immersive experience, and that's what you're getting here with a full screen version of the game. Now, Anno Online is a city builder at its core, and it is set in sort of the Renaissance era, the age of discovery, and you are put in charge of developing your very own island. Now, as you can see here, the island that I am on is pretty big, and I've sort of developed a couple of towns spread over it already. You have your basic needs that your peasants or your citizens, you must provide them with, such as religion, a marketplace, clean well water. And then you also have your resource chain or production chains, such as the mason's workshop right here or the lumberjack's hut over here. Now, one of the best things about resource management games like this are usually very long and entailed resource production lines. And No Online, so far what I've seen is, for example, with the wheat, you have a wheat farm, then you need to have a mill to grind the wheat, and then you need to have a bakery to bake the bread to finally feed to your people. The same goes basically for the sheep farm. You have sheep farms which produce the wool, and then you have the spinner's hut which will spin it. Of course, the distribution house is needed to carry all the goods back to the harbor master's office or the warehouse. And it is basically everything that you look for in a city builder. This game has it, although it is not nearly as in-depth. I mean, there's no comparing this to SimCity. This is definitely not SimCity, but it has a certain appeal that many people who are familiar with or like the city builder, the laid-back style of a city builder, will enjoy and appreciate. I especially like the art direction taken in this game. Although it is only a Flash game, it runs with... If you have Chrome installed, you'll be able to run this no problem with the Steam version, but if you don't, you might either have to install Flash from their website, from Adobe's website, or go ahead and install Chrome. So yeah, this is basically a game that is running in Flash. I'm getting pretty decent frames, 50 frames a second. It doesn't seem to go above that. And I really like the art style of the buildings. Now, I have to admit that having the little arrows bobbing above my buildings sort of does harsh my mellow. But you got the little people walking around there on the streets. You have the animals, they're grazing in their pastures. There's a lot going on for just a Flash game, and the resolution, the quality of these buildings is pretty impressive. And I've always been a fan of the art style from like the late 90s, early 2000s. It is definitely beyond the pixel art, but there's that feeling, that 2D art style that I really find compelling. And this game, it is like the more HD version of it. And if anyone showed us that 2D art can be successful in a more contemporary setting, it is the developers of Trine and Trine 2. Those are absolutely gorgeous 2D games, and even though this is only a Flash game and it's only free to play, I think the developers did a great job in art direction. I mean, this is pretty damn good to look at. Now, the developer behind Anno Online is Blue Byte Studios. You may remember them from some of their more popular series, such as The Settlers. So they have sort of a long history in the genre of city building and management, and although their support it seems a little lackluster on this game, they did recently fix the chat. Now, I was going to mention that this before I actually did this sort of review of the game. Now, chat was not working for the past maybe week or so, but they fixed it and it's working again, which is really great because it adds a certain element of community. I mean, most city builders are single player games, and basically they only hold you around for as long as you can actually, you have fun planning out buildings and stuff. Here you can actually interact with other players who are playing the game in real time, and it allows that element of community interaction that you don't find in city builders that aren't MMO oriented like this game is. Now the downside to this is I've noticed the chat client, the buttons here cover up the words. So in other words, I can't see what the last sentence was written, but if you open up your friends tab, it will sort of fix that. So you basically make the chat smaller, but you have the friends tab. Now friends are not all that useful. Sure, you can add friends and they'll increase your production by a little bit, but there is really nothing else you can do with them. It is a bit isolist, or the game isolates you a bit in that sense, where you're not going to be able to team up together to fight pirates or anything, but you can, by having a friends list, enjoy a significant modifier to your production, providing that you have enough friends. So how does the game actually play out, and what is the sort of the end game here that we're looking at? Well, unfortunately, this is where I start to get to some of the downsides of the game. It seems to be very focused on simply grinding for levels and doing very quest-oriented work. The game will start you off with a tutorial that lasts for about an hour, and it is based around quests. Now, when you're given a quest, you're given either a certain amount of time to complete it or just basically a goal to complete. And when you complete it, you get a reward. So it's very quest oriented. I haven't found a lot that isn't. When you complete a quest, there's like immediately another quest for you to complete. So there's never a shortage of quests. And then of course you have player levels. Now player levels, aside from being bragging rights, they don't appear to do anything that I've noticed. So I'm not sure why you would need higher player levels. They don't seem to affect how quickly you can upgrade your buildings or anything. Those you need to build more buildings for. And I already mentioned, I don't necessarily care for the fact that all these buildings that can be upgraded have bobbing arrows above them. Now, you'll notice my island here is named Newport, and unfortunately you can't change that, so apparently everyone gets an island named Newport. And although I have unlocked a few areas of this map, there's still plenty more to explore. Once you reach a certain population, you can choose to explore that part of the island, and it'll uncover it, and then you can start developing your city there as well. The only combat found in the game is found with ships. Now, you send out a scout, and they'll find an island, and of course you go into your inventory. And I really should cover the inventory a bit more in depth, but there isn't a whole lot to say about it. This is basically where the game becomes, this is basically the game's store, where you're going to be buying stuff that's actually going to be paying for Ubisoft servers that run this game. For those who cannot wait, the store is a viable alternative to quickly speed up and increase productivity. You can play certain goods that give you more basic resources and whatnot. But you don't have to, and I think that's really important. So far in this game, I've encountered nothing that made me feel compelled to actually buy goods. I have quite a few of the game's currency rubies, probably not that many, but I could afford it, and I really haven't felt at all pressured into trying to buy. There's nothing screaming buy now at me. So here I have an encounter. This is of the military caliber, and you're expected, if we look at, okay, that appeared to be just a very simple one. Anyway, here we are. The quests are maybe here. Finish a patrol successfully. Can I go to this? Send fleet? Yeah, okay, destroy 100% of enemy ships. Let's go. Let's just jump right into it. Now, basically, this is what you have for a combat map, and as you can see here, the pirates are guarding certain areas of this. So when you get into the combat of this, you'll be able to place your ships down, and then they'll line up for a row. As you can see right there, I can basically have 3 ships that I bring into this, and obviously I can sink it. Now, the combat works as sort of a rock, paper, scissors style, where some are stronger, some ships are stronger against other ones. There isn't a whole lot here, to be honest about it. It is very, I mean, it's very much an afterthought, I feel, to the game, and I just, it is not for me. Maybe they should, maybe it appeals to some people, but for me, the addition of ships in the game was not a selling point. Focusing a bit more, however, on the actual port to Steam, how does it hold up? Well, pretty good. Like I said, it has decent frame rates. You can play it full screen. I think a really big plus side that some people who you're playing in the browser would tip their hat to is the fact that if your browser needs to clear its cache, you're no longer going to have to download roughly 70 megabytes of content, which for those who are on limited or capped connections can be a real boon. So basically, once you have this game installed, it's about 70 megabytes in the folder, and you won't have to install it again if your browser it crashes and then it clears the cache or anything. A complaint that I did have about this port is the fact that there is a sidebar here that you cannot minimize. I think, I mean, who designed this? I'm not sure, but I think a good alternative would be to use the pretty much ubiquitous menu icon where you have the 3 little lines. I mean, this has been popularized by mobile games, and probably a lot of people who would be interested in playing games such as Anno Online are probably straight over from the mobile department. So I really don't understand the sidebar here, why exactly I need to have it open all the time. I wish I could close it. It would it's a jarring experience to have that open here. And another thing I don't like about it is that there are no tooltips on any of these things. I mean, after playing it for a while, yeah, I get what they mean now, but just jumping in, it was pretty much trial and error to see exactly what they did. Also, confusingly, along with the sidebar, it introduces 2 sets of options. Basically, you have the in-game options where you can adjust your advisor, your graphics quality, turn the sound on and off, and info symbols. Oh wait, maybe I can turn off those. Yeah, I can. Okay, that's pretty cool. I can actually turn off those upgrade symbols. So disregard my complaint about that earlier. That's you can turn it off in options. And of course the shortcuts, which is pretty rare to find in more browser-based games. Usually you just have, it's very point and click. Unfortunately, there are also options to use for the Steam version of it. Now these options basically have to do with which plugin you're using, choosing a zoom level for in-game, and a background picture. So it can sort of, the cognitive imbalance there, I really don't get the point of it. If you're going to have options, just please keep them in one place. And finally, I think a very big drawback for the Steam edition of it, while it is introducing more players to the game and getting them involved in the community, you cannot switch your previous Uplay account from the browser-based version of this game to the Steam version of it. Apparently, as of now, Uplay does not support you porting over any account information to Steam from their servers or anything. So if you're interested in playing Anno Online, the Steam edition, and you have been playing the browser game before that, you're going to basically have to start all over again, which would probably be a pretty big turnoff for those who have invested a significant amount of time in the game developing their island. So this has been a brief look at Anno Online. As you can see here, I have 3 little towns going, and yeah, this is pretty restful, I guess you could say. I really don't have any major complaints about it. It is a pretty cool online game for free. I know a lot of people have complaints about a lot of developers putting mobile games on Steam or putting browser-based games on Steam, but I think Anno Online holds up pretty decently, considering it's that freemium sort of pay-to-win stuff. But it's very decent. It's not too much in your face at all. There's a lot you can do here just by playing it for free. And yeah, I would definitely recommend. This is a pretty good game, and it's probably generating additional interest in Ubisoft's forthcoming title, Anno 2205 or 2205. So thank you very much for watching. This has been Anno Online, and I hope to see you next time.